Shorty Rock, Sean Santella, former Cage Fury flyweight champion. Is it kind of weird to say that? Former champion of Cage Fury?
Not really. I mean, I've been the champ for so long, and I fought for other organizations. It got to the point where now it's just there's nothing left for me there. They don't feel the need to really try to find me fights, so we decided just to move on, But everybody that knows CFFC knows, I was a champion for so long, so they kind of relate, So whenever you think of Shorty Rock, automatically it's usually CFFC.
Yeah, it's like they could induct you into the Hall of Fame of the promotion, no doubt.
Yeah. Oh, wow, that's hot. Let me turn this light off. So they should actually. I have the most fights. I have the most wins. I got the most title fights. But nobody would know that because they never threw that out there, unfortunately. I felt that they probably could have did a lot better marketing for me. But, it is what it is.
How's the isolation going for you? A lot of people take it differently. So for yourself, what is your daily schedule?
Man, it's been kind of crazy, actually, because my mom lives with me. She's been living with me for the last 4 or 5 years, and she actually has bad asthma and some underlying health issues. So I've been really, cautious about what we've been doing. I really haven't honestly left my house except to go get supplies and stuff like that. As far as food, meaning supplies, I don't believe in the whole, storing up on toilet paper and everything else, but I made a trip pretty much once, and I've literally been at home the last probably 10 to 14 days, since my last training session. Unfortunately, I always tend to get sick around this time myself. Last year, I fought Naoki Inoue at CFFC, and actually fought him sick. And after the fight, I ended up getting pneumonia. I went into the fight just not fully, healthy. And then unfortunately after, I think my immune system just pretty much shut down, So for as long as I can remember, the end of February, beginning of March, always sick. I always get sick. It's almost weird that if I didn't get sick around this time, we'd be a little worried, So I was just trying to keep it down to a minimum, load up on, more or less vitamins and stuff like that, and take a precaution of like taking some Mucinex just to kind of battle something and if it was coming. But I really haven't done anything. Netflix, social media. Other than that, that's it. I really haven't done anything. Going crazy though.
In this climate, if you cough a little bit, you're like, do I have something? It is like that in your mind. You have that little paranoia, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, when I went to the ShopRite, I had a mask on, and I thought everybody was going to make fun of me. And I couldn't believe how many other people actually had masks on and stuff like that. So, again, for me, it's more better to be safe than sorry for my mom, And it just so happens when I get sick, she gets sick. And when she gets sick, I get sick just because of us living together. And my brother also has a bunch of kids, and my mom's, and myself are very active in their life. So when they come, it's also bringing in, anywhere from 7 and 8 year olds over, and we just constantly, end up getting sick. So now's the time to kind of be cautious and kind of just hopefully everything, flies over, but I've been going crazy. I'm not going to lie.
There's no doubt about that. Well, at least you're doing a better job than John Jones, right?
Yeah, I just read that. That's crazy, man. I just don't understand it. A lot of his things, with the money he has and the fame he has, I'm sure everybody's been saying it on social media, but I just can't understand why somebody like him doesn't have a friend that just drives him around. Even if his friend was being stupid and driving drunk, at least he's not the one behind the wheel. I don't know what it is, man. You can't. It's crazy, I think they need to do a better job at punishing him, maybe prevent him from doing it. But if you look at it, he's got like this, it's almost like a 3-year curse. Every like 2 to 3 years, something goes crazy and he snaps, you know?
I feel he's going to jail this time. He's gonna go to prison. Because if you look at the video of him when he went before the judge last time, the judge said to him, like, if you come back, it's not gonna go too well for you. And he's going back. He's testing the water. So, hey, man, maybe that's what it's gonna take for him to go to prison and come out and and straighten his life out.
I think too with the new charges, it's not just a DWI, but having a concealed weapon. I'm sure he doesn't have a permit to carry and stuff like that. And hopefully he bought it legit. I mean, they're running, I guess, ballistics and stuff like that to make sure it wasn't attached to any other crime. But it's scary, man. You don't know because you would think somebody of his caliber, like, all right, you own a gun, you go about it the right way. You have the resources financially and stuff like that. You can do it. Hopefully he wasn't stupid and bought something off the street that was connected to something out there. And now, oh yeah, he'll definitely do time with that. I feel.
Yeah, that's something beyond. If there's anything, if he did buy a gun off the streets, that's like all charges on him. That's, he can't fight that. That's ballistic. So hopefully that's not the case. But it is what it is. Now for you. On a more positive note, you signed a new management deal with Wolf Sports Management. Why did you decide to get new representation?
Well, to be honest, I've only had one solid manager in my career that I was under contract with, and that I actually went like the legit. And I wasn't really happy with them. I just didn't feel like they were really doing anything, and whether they were like overpopulated with guys. And their roster was filled. Like I just felt like I was getting left out, and I felt like guys in my weight class that I feel I'm better than, record wise and title wise and everything else. They were actually getting better fights than me and getting signed to bigger promotions. So I just wasn't happy with that. I wasn't happy with the communication and stuff like that. So and I held out for a while to just kind of do everything on my own. Just from being around the sport for so long. I've created so many contacts on my own, especially regionally. And then when I decided all right, let me give it a try. It seems like in order to get to that next level, I need some type of representation. And I went and I had a bad taste, and, I ended up ending that. So, I sat down with some friends and teammates and stuff like that and kind of thought about it. And I spoke with one of my good friends, Harley, and we just felt like that would probably be the best bet. Because, I have so much stuff going on. I'm trying to open up my own gym as well. So between that, training for fights, teaching, I don't have that time to really dedicate to trying to represent me in the best situations. I just don't have that time available. I can't put 100% into 10 different things. It's just impossible, So I was training in New York City one day, and I was doing a session with Hops and Gracie, and we were talking to him, and he actually recommended Wolves, and he made the connection. And I really enjoyed our conversation. It was almost a 2-hour long conversation. And we planned on sitting down, but then everything happened. It was right before the Bellator, actually. It was the week of the Bellator fights is when it happened. So we planned on meeting the week after, but with everything going on, we just decided to do a phone call. And everything went great, like I felt a really good connection talking to him. We were on the same page. So I really enjoyed it, and I felt like a good positive vibe. Plus, he represents one of my teammates that I train with, Marcus. So, just Hobson alone, it is enough in my book, but obviously, talking to him and stuff like that, I definitely decided to go with him. And I feel like he's going to represent me the best. And we have a game plan and we know what we want to do. He's already been more in touch with me than my last company, like as far as being on the phone, talking to me, checking up on me. And, I only signed with them recently, it's not even been a week, and I've already had more communication with them than I had my last, management company. So that's always positive. Something with me is I always like communication, like if I call somebody, I'm not going to waste their time. Like, again, I'm not to me, I'm not a prospect coming up. I don't have 3 or 4 fights where I'm like asking a ton of questions and I'm overloading somebody. Like I know what I want, how I want it, and I can give you good input on how it's going to get done. So when I call, it's serious. You know what I'm saying? So I just, I expect the same. Just like I know when somebody like that is going to call me, it's a serious conversation. So the one thing that really annoys me is like, if I have a question and I'm trying to get something done and I'm calling my management company or whoever's representing me and I'm not getting a response, So I really, appreciate the fact that, he's been very, touch with me, touch base with me a lot, letting me know where we're going with everything. The contacts that he wants to talk with, our game planning and stuff like that. Like every inch of the way, he's been in contact with me, which I feel is great. So I'm super excited, and I can't wait. I can't wait for all the stuff to be over. I can't wait to fight. Can't wait to get back to training. So I'm excited. I have a feeling it's going to be some good things in the near future with Wolf Sports. So I'm excited.
Communication is definitely the key for anything. Is you have a lot of questions and he needs to get the answers to those questions, so you got to have that good back and forth and no transparency also, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yep. And I explained that to him when we first had a talk too. Explaining like, listen, I'm not gonna waste your time. When we talk, yeah, we're gonna have our normal, hey, how's everything going? How's this? But like, if I'm reaching out, like it's serious, like. And that's it, like I know he's got other clients and other things, and I know he's going to put 100% into me, but I'm ready to go forward, like I'm not somebody that needs to be held by hand walking through the steps. I got 32 professional fights, so it's like I feel like I already kind of paved the way. I just need that extra little bump, and I feel like he's going to help me out with that. And like I said, he's already been in touch with me more than my last management company with what he plans on doing and what he's already done for me in such a short period of time, which is awesome. Like you said, the communication and being transparent, you need that.
2018, you actually went to international waters and fought for Brave. I heard that you had a multi-fight deal with them. So I figured when they posted that social media thing with the flyweight tournament and all that, I would figure that you had been on that post, but you weren't on it. So what happened with that situation?
They didn't even offer, I didn't get a call. I signed with them, and they were when I first signed with them, they were talking about building the division. And it was actually Frankie Edgar got me that fight. He was over there commentating, and I guess they were looking at signing some lighter fighters. He mentioned me, made the connection, and I was interested just fighting internationally and getting out of the regional scene. I was like super excited. And they told me that, we would be fighting for #1 contendership. And everything I thought would be awesome. So I ended up fighting. And again, it was my first time fighting internationally. I didn't know what to expect. And there was a lot of hiccups, between the travel, between the miscommunication, between my management and the promotion, and it was just, it was crazy for the first time going out and fighting internationally. It wasn't the best experience. It was definitely an experience. It was a learning experience, but ideally it's not the way that you want your first time fighting out of the country, for such a big fight. And so we fought. I lost a decision to the guy that went on to win their belt, but he missed weight, so he wasn't actually able to get the belt. And so I still had 3 more fights on my contract, and I was supposed to fight with them. It was I think that fight was in August. I was supposed to fight in December, and it was about 2 weeks out. I was actually out. I think I was actually in Canada cornering Caitlin, and I get a call at the airport saying that the kid is off, like he failed his medicals, he's off the card. So I was like, man, it was supposed to be in Saudi Arabia. And they're like, we don't know with such short timing if we can get somebody to fill in. They got to get stuff with their visa or their passport, entry into the country and all that stuff. So I was like really disappointed, and so they couldn't find me a fight. And that's when I asked, hey, do you guys mind if I fight out of out of my contract just so I can stay active. I've ever since the beginning of my career, I've always wanted to fight. I think my fastest turnaround was 6 days. Other than having an injury, I try to fight at least 3 to 4 times a year, if not more, if I could. And so I really just wanted to stay active. So fortunate enough, they said yes. I fought, I won, and then I went back to them. Hey guys, just letting you know if anything comes up, I'm ready to go. I won my last fight, and that kept happening. And they weren't finding me a fight. It was like, oh well, we'll let you know. We don't have anything coming up. We'll let you know. But then they started signing other flyweights, and they were actually booking other flyweight fights. And I'm like, guys, like I'm on contract. I lost to the champion, by a decision loss. I would think that you guys want to get me a fight. And I didn't get anything back for a while. And then I just kept fighting outside of contract. And then my contract literally expired from the time period. Plus they weren't able to get me, enough fights. I had one fight, and my contract expired. I think it was like 18 months. My contract was a 12-month, I think. I think it was 3 fights, 1 year, Either way, it expired. And then after one of my CFFC fights, one of the media outlets had messaged me saying, hey, why aren't you fighting for Brave anymore? And I explained to them what I just explained to you. So they reached out to them, and they got a message back saying that they were still trying to find me a fight. So then the matchmaker actually calls me and asked me if I wanted to do a fight in India. And he gave me the opponent and stuff, and then he guaranteed me the #1 contendership fight, and I'd fight for the title if I won. Plus, we were talking about like renegotiating the contract. And so I was like, all right, cool. Like, send me over the new contract. And then in the end of the conversation, like, no, we're just going to go off your old contract. And I'm like, well, you're just talking about giving me a title shot if I win. And then, restructuring my contract, obviously, for more money if I win. I need those terms in writing. And then I just never got them. So that's where we kind of left off. And that was the last time I heard from them, is that they agreed to everything, but then they wouldn't restructure the contract. My contract is already expired, so I can't go off of the same contract. I mean, legally, that contract is void after the time expired. So that was the end of it. And then I fought again for CFFC. And then next thing you know, they had this flyweight tournament out, So I was like, it's crazy. I went on social media. I said I would be in the tournament, to them. And I didn't get anything back, not even, So they signed a bunch of other people. And I was kind of like, wow, that they didn't even bother contacting me, So I don't know. It is what it is, I guess, though. It's definitely odd.
When you look at the top 3 promotions out there for flyweights, it's of course the UFC, and then you got One Championship and Ryzen. When you look at those 3, the top 3, where would you preferably like to go? Because their competition is different in all 3.
Mm-hmm. I would be willing to fight in any of them. Again, I want to stay active. Whatever promotion's willing to like keep me active. Like I want to fight. I'd like my name to be on the top of the list if somebody got hurt short notice. I walk around very light. I'm 133 pounds walking around daily. Like I haven't trained literally in I think 9 days, and I woke up this morning 133 pounds. So like that's about my walking weight. So I can make it. I can make 25 on a day's notice on 24 hours. I actually feel like if I was to go to one, I could fight at 125 hydrated. I would have to talk to a nutritionist and see what their hydration test is and stuff like that. That's something that I'm still not really fully educated on, So that's something that I'd have to find out. But I honestly feel like I could do 125 hydrated, and I could go in there and fight for their belt tomorrow. I also feel like I could do the same thing at their 135. Because I'm kind of at that in between with Mighty Mouse and that Kincaid. Danny Kincaid and stuff like that. So I think that, that would be interesting because I'd be able to fight at 2 different weight classes if they would allow it, But right now, man, I just want to fight, I would love to fight in the UFC. It's always been a dream. And I've always really just wanted to fight the best guys. So I want the best competition. That's what I'm looking for. So it could be whatever organization that shows me the best competition. And I would love to fight for that organization and put on fun fights for the fans. I like to think that I'm never in a boring fight. I've had some people kind of criticize me um, because of some decisions that I've had. But if you look at those decisions, they've all been dominating decisions over like really top level guys. I mean, dominating where I've had multiple 10-8 rounds, just completely dominating them. A lot of people don't understand. Sometimes you get to a certain level when guys go in there, they fight not to lose. They don't actually fight to win. So for them to go in there and to not get finished by me, in their mind, that's a win. And those people are a lot harder to finish when they're going in there being really reserved and not actually trying to fight. And I think people lose sight of that sometimes. But from any fans or anybody like that, anybody that's watched any of my fights, I've never had anybody say that they've ever witnessed being a boring fight, win or lose. So again, I have a very aggressive style. It might mainly be a little bit towards grappling because I'm a jiu-jitsu guy, but I'm always finishing fights. And my grappling exchanges are wild. I'm not just like sitting there and hanging out. I'm damaging. I'm constantly transitioning. I'm constantly attacking. It's never just like, all right, I'm going to take somebody down and just like lay on them and pray. Like that's what people think of a lot of grappling based fighters. So they get that stereotype of being boring. That's definitely not my style. I like to consider my style as like a scrappler. I'm a scrappy grappler. And again, anybody that watches my fights, never had anybody complain.
Yeah, one championship you spoke about them. They have a lot of great matchups for you. You know what I mean? And they have three weight divisions. They have the bantamweights, they have the flyweights, and they also have the strawweight men. So anything could be possible over there. Now another promotion, Ryzen. I've seen you going back and forth with a couple of the guys from that promotion. Recently, I feel like Trent Girdham. You went back and forth with him. How did that originate?
Oh, because I actually said he fought Naoki, and I fought Naoki I think 3 fights ago, and awesome dude, trains at Serra Longo, and we were actually talking after our fight through like Google Translator and stuff like that, and we connected on social media. I've always wished him luck. He's done the same, and he had a good fight, and I watched it. And I guess that kid Trent or whatever went on social media on Twitter and blasted like he got robbed. And I watched the fight and I was like, I thought it was a good fight. Like to me as a fan, because I'm also, a huge MMA fan, I enjoy watching fights. And I said, dude, like that was a good fight, And then he started talking shit to me, like, because I said, yeah, I did thought Naoki won, but I thought it was like very narrow because he was able to take him down. In a close fight where the striking was equal, he was able to take him down and take his back. And then, of course, he starts talking crap, like, oh, if that's how you like to fight and I'll smash you if you can. He just started talking. I don't even know who the guy is. So I said, hey, if you can make 125, I'll fight you. You're not even in my weight class, but I'd fight him, But it was he just out of nowhere. He's, one of those dudes that when he gets a little bit of criticism, he just lashes out. And I was actually giving the kid a compliment, So maybe that's his lack of intelligence to realize, like, another fighter was like saying, hey, that was a great fight. It could have went either way. If I was a judge, I would have judged it for Naoki. And I had like a reasonable explanation as to why. And then the kid just started like talking smack and then reaching out to me on like Instagram and like, privately messaging me all this crap. I was like, dude, I have 32 professional fights. You don't have to talk smack to get a fight out of me. You signed a contract. You say we're going to fight, and I'm excited. You don't need to lash out and try to be all like hardcore and gangster. Like I'm beyond that. Like I enjoy fighting. You sign a contract, you close the cage door, or we walk into the ropes or whatever, and I'm ready to fight. That's it.
Earlier this year, I saw you do some work with Tony Ferguson. I want to ask you, is Khabib versus Tony Ferguson cursed? Do you believe this?
At first I did, but now with everything going on, I think it's going to happen. And I've actually been helping out one of the fighters on the card, Sajara Eubanks. I should be cornering her if everything goes well. We've been really working on this fight for her because, from what it sounded like with her and her opponent, they're both on like that, you got to win or you're gone type scenario, So we've been really putting in a lot of work to really go out there and have her perform, not only perform but dominate. So I've been kind of getting filled in a little bit as to, like what's going on, and it seems like from the managers that have fighters on the card and everything that it's going to be a go. Just nobody knows where, So I'm kind of hoping that if it's overseas, they let us know. Us meaning the fight camps, because you got to take that preparation a little different with your weight. You got to worry about flying, and maintaining that water and stuff like that. So ideally, you'd like to leave a little lighter than normal if you're going to be flying 10 to 12 hours or whatever. So that's the one thing that I'm a little concerned about. But I think it's a go, I'm super excited. I think the curse will be over. The only concern with me is that you're loading up this fight card with all these fights, and how is everybody training if everything is kind of in lockdown? Like you're following everybody. Like I said, I'm a huge fan, so I'm always following everybody on social media, seeing what they're doing. And it seems like a lot of people they're not going to be able to perform to their best ability simply because they don't have that training camp like they normally would. Whether it's gyms are closed, training partners, they don't have a location, like maybe they can't train at their house, whatever the case may be. Fortunate enough, we have people that have gyms in their basement, and we're able to get people together to train. But a lot of things that you're reading, people they can't train to their full capability. I'm sure Khabib can, and I'm sure Ferguson can, and I'm sure that's all Dana really cares about, like the rest of the world. As long as those two guys can get a full camp and fight, who cares about the rest? But, I'm interested to see if the fighters, one, make weight, because one, you're stuck in isolation. You're on a lockdown pretty much. So some people that are worried about going out, they tend to gain weight. They're going to be heavier than normal. They're not getting their normal 3 workouts a day, or they're not getting the 3 workouts that they normally would, So I'm curious to see if the fighters, one, make weight, and the second one is how, if they do make weight, how they perform, simply because, you're not giving them the best chance that they can perform at the best of their ability simply because the gyms were taken away. And that's not something the fighter could prepare for. The government, they banned gyms from being open, So it's like, what are you supposed to do? So that's the only thing that kind of concerns me. It doesn't concern me on our end, because I know we've been doing everything we can. But some of the stories that I've been reading, I don't know, I mean, it's hard to figure out what people are going to do. And plus, I don't know if there's travel bans. I don't know if you're allowed to leave the country. And if you can you get back in the country? Are they going to put you into that 14-day quarantine if you come back into the country? So it's a lot, but I'm excited for it, man. I'm really excited for that fight, as a fan, and, hopefully I get to corner and be there live, so it should be a super, super exciting experience, especially if the place is empty, at least hopefully they let us go out there and watch the fights live rather than being in the back.
What if you had the corner like 20 feet away from the cage? That would be so weird. That would be very weird, right? Just,
yeah,
I don't know,
from the
odd.
front row, I can see it.
Yeah.
I feel like my voice carries, a lot of the fighters that I train that are teammates and that I coach, they seem to be able to, hear my voice most. Like it's very distinct when I'm coaching. So that's always good to hear,
Well, no matter what, the event happens, it's going to be a story you can tell your kids, your grandkids, whatever, just going to be for a long time. Like this is what happened in 2020 and I was there to experience that live. Sean, appreciate the time. I hope you get signed real fast. Me personally, as a fan, I would like for you to get signed to one championship because I feel like that has more options for you. You know what I mean? It's not like you're like a 20-year-old prospect. You're 35 years old. You need to get there, get in quick, and get the big fights. And I feel one championship has those big fights for you. As a fan, I would like to see you do that. There's so many options. So hopefully when you do get signed, get you back on the show and talk about the prospects of what's next for you, what matchups you can have. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thanks again. I'm super excited too. Hopefully you're right. Being 35, to me, it's just a number, man. If you watch my last couple of fights, I feel like my skill set has been getting better. I've been improving every time I get in there, which is crazy for how many fights I have. So that's actually scary for my opponents. I've been able to stay healthy. And I'm excited, man. I feel like I have a lot of years left. to grab me a bigger belt at another stage. If it's one, maybe that double belt, you know? So fingers crossed, man. Thank you for your time.